Hi. Welcome. I have to set up the studio. Sorry for the delay, but give me a second. Alright, so I gotta block off the sunlight here because otherwise you'll have a glare. And that's no fun. And then I gotta cover this little thing so that you don't get a glare either in my glasses. Then I think you'll be able to see me now, but let's give it a try and then we'll get started. So it is town hall time. Welcome. Got some kind of crazy hairdo going on. I'll be happy when it grows out a little bit. Okay. There. All right, let me get my stuff. Get my notes. And then we can talk. All right, it's town hall time. And campaign update time. So I'm still a candidate. Let's start there. For President of the United States. I have not conceded the election. I will not concede the election until my vote is counted and many other votes as well. So I am not giving up on you, West Virginia. I am not giving up on you, United States of America. And I'm not giving up on you, the world. It's too important what's going on, and I care. A lot of people say they care, but they don't know how to do. And I don't know how to do. I'm just doing what I can do, and it seems to be working. So even though I am not in the White House currently, I will say that a lot of what Trump and Elon Musk are doing are in my platform, as you know. But my platform, the first thing at the top is have a real election, one that is not fraudulent. And that's what we're waiting for, something like that to happen. So, we're going to be talking again about the amendments and the 14th Amendment today, and about my fraud case and registering to vote. So, anyway, that's what I'm working on, and doing taxes. So I'm trying to get that all done, and so far it's going good. I need to clean up my RV too. It's a little messy because I've been going, and not stopping and cleaning. So now it's time to stop and clean. There we go. All right, so let me just check my book here. I wanted to, try to figure out what to talk about. So, count my vote, West Virginia, and the United States government, the federal government. Currently, West Virginia decided to cancel my vote because they say that I didn't want to vote because I was not registered. So, the states seem to constantly come up with ways to get around letting certain people vote. They seem to like to throw out women's votes and people with darker skin votes. or I should say, people with darker skin tend to be followers of a different Christianity or even Muslim. So they definitely want to throw out those votes, and they seem to. What I notice is happening is it's the YMCA bunch who are constantly in charge. So that's like the Christian ones who are hiding in the closet. They don't want to come out and say that they are gay, but they are, and they're often the ones who are behind the manipulation, because of course, when you think that you are totally in control, and that your God is the right God, and that you are the ruler of the world, plus your wife, and your wife even agrees with you because she's also Christian, then, stealing an election is no problem, because why? Because your wife is going to forgive you, the people of the country, if they're all Christian, will forgive you too, your God is going to forgive you, and all you have to do is confess. You confess at church, and you're absolved of your sin. You're no longer a sinner, right? You no longer cheated or stealed or did whatever you did. All you have to do is say a couple of Hail Marys and a few Our Fathers, and then you're done. You're free. You are good to go again and commit crimes again. This is Christianity. It lets the guilty people run free without any obligation. And this is not acceptable. So, yeah. And part of the problem is we got men who think it's okay, and then they convince the women that it's okay, and then there's a group of them who are doing this. So, I was raised Catholic, so I know all about Christianity and what the churches do to, manipulate all of us. It's not pretty. So anyway, fraudulent elections, that's what we're talking about. And the 14th Amendment I'm going to get to. So I just want to see, I thought I had made some notes, but I guess I didn't. But I want my vote counted. That's the main thing. And I want your vote counted. Because what's really happened at this point is they just reject all the votes that they know the people don't follow their beliefs. And they just keep the amount of votes that are needed to put a person into office. And so I want to read two things, because we are all, if we're United States, which West Virginia is, we are all ruled by the same Constitution. And it starts off, we the people of the United States. Now, first off, I have to admit, no one ever asked me to really say what's in here and mean it. And I think that that's what a final year of high school should be. A Constitution year, where you learn about your country and your Constitution and what your rights are and what's not allowed, and especially from the country part of the Constitution, but then also your state. And as we go through, we're learning about different parts of the U.S. Constitution. And it starts off with we the people. So the idea of the USA was, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, which we don't have, provide for a common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. So what I will say is, I think at the end of the high school year about the Constitution, then you should really read the document and then state that, yes, you are in agreement with this. And if you're not, then that should be a discussion too. But this was the dream of our founders. And then they laid out the details of it. So establish justice. Well, a lot of our justice in the United States is Christian justice. It's what the Christian fanaticals believe. It's not what is real justice. So real justice is everybody equal. Real justice is men not killing their wives and getting away with it, or men raping girls and getting away with it. This is not justice. Women and men, so women and girls, daughters and wives are not property. Men, you do not have the right to do what you do to your women, to abuse them mentally and physically. It's not acceptable. But it's going on all over the United States, and there are even laws allowing it to happen. And this is unacceptable. We are not a Christian country. Nowhere in our document does it say we are. And you fanatical Christians have gone too far. I am an atheist. That means that I do not believe in God, and I certainly don't believe in your God, and I certainly don't believe in your God's rules. And as a woman, I don't see a difference. It says people here. It doesn't say males. It says people, and I'm a people. And I'm a citizen people. So I get all these things. You don't have the right to take them away for any reason. I have done nothing wrong. So why was my vote not counted? Where's my justice? Then the next part is ensure domestic tranquility. Well, I just posted a whole bunch of news relating to killing and raping of females all across our country. And they are, well, first off, it's unacceptable. Sadly, a lot of the perpetrators do not do not get caught, do not go to jail, and this is unacceptable. So women have a right to exist without abuse, period. Abuse of any kind, mental, physical. No, it's time to stop it. We have had enough. It's time for real tranquility, Look the word up. We already provide for a common defense that doesn't defend women because our own people are the worst betrayers of our lives, and we are defenseless ultimately. So if we want to work on common defense, that means the defense of girls and women. That means no more killing and raping. So where is the common defense being provided for that? There is none. And that's why we need to start paying mothers so that they can get away from their abuser. It's unacceptable to trap women into indentured servantry to abusers. It's called slavery, and it's got to stop. Promote the general welfare. Well, I don't even know what that means anymore. Welfare. That's like a British term. So we need to update welfare into a proper American term. So we're talking promote the general home life? Or is that more promote the general drug addict and male sex offender and killer who have gotten out of prison? Is that what we're really talking about? Or is that for mothers with babies? Because I'm a bit confused. So let's not forget that for common defense, we have CIA, FBI, and NSA. Then we have U.S. Marshals. We have Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and National Guard. And we have Coast Guard, too. Then we have police and sheriff and security people all over the place. And yet women are still killed and raped. And this is unacceptable. So we're spending money in the wrong places. Sounds to me. We don't need it. We don't need all this. It's not working anyways. A country that doesn't take care of its women citizens will die. Because women citizens are half the population. We reproduce. We produce citizens. Why would you not take care of your producers of citizens? It's the strangest thing I've ever heard. And I've never seen a country who fights so much against taking care of their own people as the United States. Shame on you. Shame on you, everyone in power. I mean, you're all illegally there anyways, because you've been manipulated into your position, so shame on you for that. But then shame on you for not providing for women and providing common defense that doesn't work. Shame on you. So we need to promote the general happiness. Is that what welfare is? Well, I don't see a lot of people happy out there. And secure the blessings of liberty. So the blessings of liberty. So liberty is really freedom and our rights, right? It's the right to do all whatever's in here. But then there are some unwritten rights too, like voting and having it counted. Here, having our government hear our voice, and what is the first one with grievances? Petitioning the government for regress of grievances. That's like old English. We got to get rid of that. But what it means is telling the government that there's problems and what they are, and having them hear you and working towards finding a solution. But that's not what we have. We have Christians who have taken over the country, who are turning us into a Christian missionary country for Christ. And this is unacceptable. Because I'm not Christian. That's not what our Constitution says. It says separate the church and state. And it says that we have no one religion. But everyone is allowed to have their own religion. Because back then they already knew there were multiple Christians, multiple Muslims, multiple Jews. And then they also already knew about Buddhists and Hindus and everything. So it's not like this is new stuff, folks. And I know the Christians want you to believe that, oh, we never had Muslims before in the country, but we did. The slaves were Muslim. And so, we got, we just got people who want to dominate and oppress. And that is got to stop. Because we are in a country that's supposed to be based on liberty, on freedom, and it's the one thing we don't have. We have freedom to conform, and that's not acceptable. So the liberty is to vote and have it counted, and that's what I don't have. I showed up, I had my passport, I had my driver's license, they knew I was a citizen, and they knew where I lived. I spent almost an hour there voting. And then they had the gall to say, because I wasn't registered to vote, I didn't want to vote. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And if they said that to me, they can say it and do it to you too. And maybe they did. So my liberties are being violated. And I'm not the only one. There are others whose liberties were violated on Election Day. Shame on you. So the past governor and the past Secretary of State are the ones involved. And then the local people who were at the voting booth and everything. I'm sure, my vote probably didn't get beyond the voting booth. I'm sure it ended up in the trash can somewhere. So, it's a sad day, every day, that our current administration is there. Because everyone in office is illegally there. I never thought this could be my country. I thought this happened in like third world countries. I thought this happened in communist countries. I didn't know it happened in the supposedly free and liberty-filled, country of the United States. So secure the blessings of liberty. That's what I'm trying to do. That is exactly what I'm doing. Because no matter what's written in the Constitution, it doesn't seem to matter. Our securing blessings of liberty is not happening. Only for certain folks, like the Christians. I don't want to be Christian. I want to be atheist. I want to have my freedom my way, not your way. So it's time to change. It's time churches pay taxes. It's time to take away churches being allowed to make official marriages. They can make a marriage in their church, but people have to get married at the civil courthouse first. Things have got to change. It's unacceptable. Then secure the blessings of liberties for ourselves. I'm just trying to do it for myself, actually. But I'm also trying to do it for you and any future citizens, too, for our posterity. So, I never said this to anyone. So, I don't know. I mean, we need to have like a day where even citizens declare this. Because if we don't declare it, then there's clearly a problem. And, although I've said it many times, I haven't made it official. But I would like these things. But what's written in this little paragraph here is not what's written in the Constitution. And it's not what we're living in the United States. So I do ordain and establish what's written, But this Constitution doesn't do it, and the people who are in charge are not following the rules of the Constitution. So, yeah, I would like to see the Constitution actually fulfilling its promise, but sadly, the people in charge are not doing that. So we got problems. What I find interesting is it says "we the people." So it doesn't say "we the men," it doesn't say "we the citizens." Of course, it's citizens of the United States. So it says "we the people of the United States." So it is citizens, but it doesn't say men. And then later, there's a constitutional amendment, the 14th one, which is my argument for why registering to vote is unconstitutional. And again, they say all persons born, all persons born, all persons born. Not all male persons, not all female persons, not all Christian persons, but all persons born or naturalized in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction thereof. So that means anyone sitting in a political office is subject to the jurisdiction, the Constitution of the United States. Anyone born or naturalized in the United States are citizens of the states of the United States. Again, they're citizens automatically, and of the state wherein they reside. So we're citizens of the United States, plus we're citizens of whatever state we're living in, which is West Virginia. Now, some people have more than one home in more than one state. So is it just where they're residing at the time? So like if they have a home in Florida during election time, can they vote from there as well as California, as well as Minnesota? Because they have homes in all of them, and if in November they go around to the different homes, suddenly they're residing there so they can vote from there. And see, this is my argument for why we need to use the IRS one resident, main residence as the place of voting. Because technically, if you're residing, what does that mean? You're living there. So in November, or whenever voting starts, you can reside in up to like 10 or maybe even 20 states and vote in all of them. Because you're residing there, so you can vote there. It doesn't say only one vote. Then what it does say is no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. So, privileges are liberties, and it's to vote. And it says persons. It doesn't say men. It doesn't say white men, and it doesn't say white Christian people. So, I want my vote counted. I want my vote counted. Count my vote. Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, deprive of liberty, or property without due process of the law. Without due process of the law. So what law did I break that my vote was not counted? West Virginia, Morgantown, Monongalia County. I want to know, what law did I break that you are violating my liberties as a U.S. citizen? My liberty is to vote and have it counted, and it was not. My liberty is to tell our government what's going on and you are blocking me. You're blocking my First Amendment right, and you're blocking me from just my complete liberties in general. You're in violation. You are violating me. It's abuse. Shame on you. Shame on you, Monongalia County. Shame on you, West Virginia. Shame on you, Secretary of States. Shame on you, governors. I have been trying to get this changed for 3 years now. Shame on you all. And I'm not the only one. We have freedom of religion. I am not Catholic anymore, and I am not Christian anymore. I am atheist. Keep your imaginary people to yourself, and your imaginary people's rules to yourself. If you choose to have an imaginary friend, that's your affair. You cannot force an imaginary friend on me. And I'm not living by any imaginary friend's rules. You have no right to infringe on my liberties. It states right here, no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens. And I am a citizen. I have a passport. I have a birth certificate. Of the United States. I was born on a military base. My father fought in Vietnam and is buried at Arlington. How dare you do what you're doing? Nor shall any state deprive any person, not even just citizen, any person, of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law. Where is the due process of removing votes from being counted? Where is that? Because you are infringing on my rights, and it clearly states here that that's not allowed. Nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So I have done no harm by voting. There's nothing illegal about me voting. But there's everything illegal about you not counting my vote. That's that's Amendment 14, Section 1. Now, a lot of people argue that this was specially made in 1868 for ex-slaves. But that has nothing to do with it. It is an amendment here. Plus, this same amendment information is actually in the main body of the Constitution in 2 separate areas. I don't have it marked, so I can't go over it right now. But when I find it, I will go over it again. So, yes, it was written for the newly freed slaves, and also for the women. But sadly, because a lot of the women were Christian at the time, they were causing their own involuntary servitude and allowing it to happen. They helped confine their voices to be silenced. They helped to be silent because they were following the Bible first and not the Constitution first. And if some grown-up voluntarily abuses themselves, that's their fault. So I'm here to tell you to stop abusing yourself. know your rights. Read the Constitution. It's not very long. It's a bit complicated in some areas, and some areas are very clear. And what I'm reading to you is very clear. So, equal protection under the laws. So that doesn't mean that, for Christians it's one rule and for everyone else it's a different one. I've been watching. I know, U.S. citizen rights, it's a bit annoying if you're a Christian, right? Because, yeah, you actually have to admit that other people have a right to their belief and to the things that they can do. We have rights. But I know you Christians are out there to try to force us out of these rights, and you're doing a darn good job, sadly, because a lot of people don't know what their rights are. But I do, and I'm not accepting it. All right. So, by the way, any of you Christian people who are in power currently, probably illegally there, just to let you know, if you force a woman to stay pregnant because you ban abortion, that's involuntary servitude, and you should be imprisoned yourself. You cannot, that's what the 13th Amendment says. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime, thereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So involuntary servitude within the jurisdiction of the United States is not allowed. So women can have abortions. What I will agree, there seems to be a technique, I think it's called D&E, where they use these forceps to go into the uterus and pull out a baby. And yes, that pulling out probably causes a baby a lot of distress and a lot of pain. And so absolutely, it's a bad one. But it also, because the doctors apparently, for whatever reason, they don't use an ultrasound when they do this, which is a little bonkers for me, but that would be malpractice right there. And the doctor should go to jail. But if you put this in and you try to pull on things that you can't see what you're pulling on, yes, you could get the uterus, you could get the woman, you could get her internal organs, and then you pull it out and then she's dead. Yeah. So, yes, it's a bad tool, and I absolutely think it should be forbidden from being used, except in whatever rare a case it might be needed. Because, in the olden days, they just would dilate the cervix, and then they would put their hand in and gently pull the embryo out with their hands, or the fetus out. They would have the intact creature come out, and it would be removing the placenta from the wall, and then you just remove the whole thing. It's not brain surgery. It's because we're talking about two different creatures. Embryos and fetuses are attached. They're not glued. It's not a permanent part of a human female. It's a temporary attachment, and it is an attachment. And you can remove it. And I think what was happening too in the last little while, whenever abortions were happening, I think they were actually removing it and putting it into another woman, a woman who wanted to be pregnant. And, when you give your pregnancy to science, then they have a right to do what they want. And so a lot of abortions are being given to science to do learning. So I don't have a problem with that. On many levels, there might be some areas that are gray that maybe need to be talked about once. But so yeah, I absolutely think that technique of aborting a pregnancy should be removed. But nowadays, if you happen to be pregnant and you think later you might want this baby, then you could actually freeze it if it's an embryo. Embryos are freezable. Fetus is not, but embryos are. So you can freeze it, and then you can have it re-put into your body at a more appropriate time. So there are there's involuntary servitude, and forcing a woman to stay pregnant is involuntary servitude, and it's not allowed within the United States. So bans on abortion of any kind are actually unconstitutional and need to be removed from every state of the Union. They are unconstitutional. It's abuse of citizens' rights, and you cannot force women to be involuntary servitude. You cannot force us to be slaves, to be, hosting babies when we don't want them, period. Now, if someone is raped and decides they want to keep that baby or go through with the pregnancy, they also have that right. So my suggestion for women and girls is to do what is right for you in your heart. Because for various reasons, you may make a decision, whether it's religious or personal, it doesn't matter. You're a U.S. citizen and you have a right to decide what happens to your body. And whatever happens, whatever you decide is the right decision. So women have minds of their own. We do not have, our husbands are not attached by the brain to us, so we can make our own choices. We get our own passports. We are our own citizens, our own people, and we can make our own decisions. And on that note, I'm going to end this town hall, and I want to remind you of a favorite reading that I have from Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's sort of what I used to live by. I discovered it when I was about 13 or 14, and it stayed with me for so long. And then after reading this, then I'll let you go. Remember to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affections of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. This is to have succeeded. This is to have a meaningful life. This is what's needed to be a good citizen and to earn honor and respect. Okay. The Constitution is what we live by in the United States, and the states are out of control. It's unacceptable. So thank you for stopping by. My name is Susan Maud Buchser-Lochocki. I am a candidate for President of the United States from the 2024 election, which is fraudulent and needs to be at the minimum recounted. At the maximum, we need to go to my lawsuit and we need to have a whole new election, paper ballots. That's what we need to do. One person, one vote. You don't get to vote in every state you have a house in. Sorry. And that's the news. So If you want to find out more about me and my lawsuit, go to my website, susan4usa.com. That's Susan, the number 4, USA.com. All right. Until next time, see you Wednesday morning. Bye for now.